And Mike's on the chat again. Hey, Mike, what's happening? Of course, you're on the hockey one. I haven't changed my mind at all. I'm going to stay with Toronto, by the way. Don't need these anymore. I'm just doing some testing. Mike's on, of course, saying, "Okay, let's do this." If you catch up and you're on, you have some questions or issues on the NBA side, hit me up. Hit us up, of course. We interact here on these videos from the home fortress. As now NBA preview here, of course, I'm keeping my eye on the game currently going right now for the 8 seed. It's halftime, and that's actually why I was running a little late getting everything on. I was waiting for halftime. 59-47, Pelicans in the lead without Zion right now. 10:43 left in the third. Of course, that's on TNT. So it looks like I'm just gonna. I thought long and hard about it, and I don't think it matters which team's the 8 seed with Oklahoma City Thunder. But I don't know. We'll see as we get through the predictions here, of course. So as always, you guys know, for everybody viewing, if you have any questions, concerns, problems, of course, hit it up. But this is mainly for us to predict, on the show. I don't have a full, time to predict and break down each series. So I do this on the side here. Of course, we're going to do all 4 Western and all Eastern games here. Let's get it started with, of course, the Eastern games. As, those are set. Miami beat Chicago here a little bit ago. Tonight, which means Miami's the 8 seed, is going to play the Boston Celtics. Of course, you got the New York Knicks as the 2 seed, playing the 76ers, who did get in as the 7th seed. You've got the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Pacers, the 3 seed Bucks, 6 seeds Pacers. Cleveland Cavaliers there, the 4 seed, and the Orlando Magic as the 5 seed here in the East. And I mean, look, where do you guys want to start at here, right? You got Celtics against the Miami. It's a rematch. And Jimmy Butler's out though, and look, the Miami looked good tonight, but they're not playing the Celtics tonight, and I think obviously Jimmy Butler is going to be a serious issue here for the Miami Heat. So let's just talk about that one first here, since that's right up here in front of us. As Miami Heat gets that 8 seed today against the Boston Celtics. Game 1 will be Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is what, 12, 11, 10 a.m. our time. I have to subtract by 3. We know we don't do math here, right? You have, the series averages, Celtics, 120 points per game. The Miami Heat, 110. 46 rebounds, 42 for the Heat. 46, obviously, for the Celtics. 26 assists per game, or 26.9. 25.8 for the Heat. Obviously, Jimmy Butler's out for the series. He's out for a considerable amount of time. Bam Adebayo, of course, 19.3 points per game for the Heat. I can give you all the stats on the planet. It does not matter. The question is the Celtics going to sweep the Miami Heat, or are the Celtics going to win by 5 in this series? Miami does not have a prayer. Now, here's the one thing, though. It's the injury to Miami, of course, is what I'm not most excited about. However, I could see Miami winning a game or two, because Boston's the reason why I think, depending which Boston team shows up. Mike says Celtics as well. He agrees with me. I do not trust the Celtics here in this playoffs. They coasted in the playoffs. They've dominated the East. Here's the thing, though. The competition is so bad in the East, and they are so good. Unless the Celtics blow it, they should be in the NBA final, and it should be kind of an easy slide for them to get there. I'm expecting them to get there. The question is how hard are they going to play to get there? Is my question mark. So in this first game, this is quite frankly one of the boring games of the thing. We have the Celtics moving on into the second round here over the Miami Heat. So at least the Miami Heat, welcome to the playoffs. Enjoy Miami Beach here in your off season. In our opinion, here, in the first round here of the NBA playoffs, of course. Let's see here. What's the next series here? I lost my train of thoughts. Celtics Heat there. Cavaliers Magic. You want to go Cavaliers Magic? Let's go Bucks 76ers first here because I'm sorry, Knicks 76ers here. 2 seed Knicks, 7 seed 76ers. 76ers had to go to the playing game. Joel Embiid, of course, out for a while this season. He is back now. How much legs does he have under him? He does tend to falter when playoff basketball happens, and the NBA changes their officiating style. So, can Embiid overcome the mentally challenging of him not getting the calls that he thinks he's going to get or thinks he deserves? That's the question mark on Joel Embiid. However, the Knicks, a lot of people are high on the Knicks for some reason, and probably rightfully so. Game one in this series, of course, is tomorrow, 3 p.m. our time, right after the Suns game. 76ers, Knicks here. Look, the storyline here, of course, is the big man, Joel Embiid. He's going to be if the 76ers are to win this series, it's going to come down to Joel Embiid here. Mike's already chimed in. He's got Knicks winning this series. Most of that, Joel Embiid, after he got hurt, of course, working his way back. But New York has his own big man, of course, Mitchell Robinson out there. So I think this is an even matchup. 76ers are better than the 7 seed, but are they better than the Knicks? Problem with the Knicks is they tend to falter in the playoffs a little bit. They don't make it there too often. It's an interesting thing. One thing I'd pay attention to if you're watching the Knicks, Josh Hart is the guy for the Knicks that's going to have a good game. He averaged, 12.3 points, 14.3 rebounds, 5.3 assists. He'll be essential in the series if the Knicks are going to win it. He's going to be a key to this. He's going to have to step up a little bit and be a guy that does a little extra to get the Knicks over the top. In my opinion, watch for Josh Hart. For the 76ers, Tobias Harris is what you got to see here. He's obviously a veteran forward. It's going to be an interesting matchup against Nick Batum here in this series. Batum was essential in Philadelphia's play-in victory, and can he keep it going? And Tobias Harris, how is he going to do in this series as well with those two edges? And as I said, the key also for the 76ers, Joel Embiid not caving in when he doesn't get the calls that he thinks he deserves out there. An interesting, I did some stats look up here, and according to NBA.com, the key to know in this series is 24.5%. That the Knicks took 24.5% of their shots in the last 6 seconds of the shot clock this season, which means they like to drawing the clock down. 76ers are going to have to play defense a little bit longer there in order to stop them. They're going to have to play the defense for longer. And the Knicks are going to have to continue to wear down the 76ers to have a shot. It is the league's highest rate, by the way, by a wide margin. And the Sixers rank second at 22.6%. Of their shots are under 6 seconds. So this is going to be an interesting half-court game, possibly, that you expect to see. And look, it's a slower, playoffs are typically a slower pace in the NBA, and it sets it up for both of these guys to where we might get some snoozer games here with these stats as we come into it. As you see there, Mike does, Knicks are going to win this series here. And I got news for you, Mike. 76ers. Joel Embiid is going to step up in this series. The Knicks struggle in the playoffs, and I think this is just going to be another letdown here for the 76ers. The other thing is Tom Thibodeau, right? They play harder in the regular season. They tend to falter in the playoffs, Tom Thibodeau teams. The edge fades that they play with in the regular season for the Knicks. That tends to fade with the Tom Thibodeau team. And the rivals, of course, dial it up. I expect the 76ers to be a little bit more intensity, a little bit more fiery here in this playoffs. And the question that you got, of course, is Brunson. How is he going to be able to match that energy and play as well as he did in the regular season? The Knicks. I don't know if the Knicks can outwork in the 76ers in this series. So, first disagreement there, Mike, for us is I have the 76ers and you have the Knicks. Don't forget, guys, that are on, hit us up in the chat if you'd like with what you have coming up here in these series as we go over them. Of course, next up, let's go Bucks Pacers in this series here. Let's go Cavaliers Magic. Let me go to this game first here. Here's my problem with the East: is Celtics are so much better than everybody else. The competition levels, not good with everyone else besides the Celtics. I'm a little worried that this East is going to be a boring first round, and I'm not sure it's going to get much better. But Bucks, Pacers here. Obviously, Giannis, if you haven't seen the news, out for the first game. Question is, when is he going to come back? Is it going to be game 2? Is it going to be game 3? First game is Sunday, 4 p.m. our time on TNT here. So it doesn't get underway until Sunday. And here's the thing. Pacers did win the regular season series 4-1 over. Of course, one of those victories came in the play-in in-season tournament, or whatever we're calling that tournament there. So the Pacers tend to have the Bucks number. That was with a healthy, of course, Giannis going into this series. The storyline in this series is strictly Giannis's health. When's he going to be back? He missed, of course, the last 3 games. The injury could have been worse. It wasn't. But it's being reported that he won't be ready on game 1. We'll get the final word on that coming up here. I know we'll get it closer to game time. But will he be back in game 2? Will he be back in game 3? But will he be 100% when he comes back? Is the question. The Bucks went 4-5 without Giannis this season, and they were outscored by 23.2 points per 100 possessions. Giannis obviously is the key to the Bucks. They don't really have a shot without him usually if you go by the stat lines. And also, even if Giannis is playing in 53 minutes with Giannis off the floor against the Pacers this season, the Bucks were outscored by 39 points. This series basically comes down to Giannis and his health. Is he going to be able to play? And that's strictly all it comes down to for the Bucks. I don't think he's going to be healthy. I don't know how many games we're going to miss of him, but I don't think he's going to be healthy at all. And it's going to be one of those series where is it going to be another disappointing year for Giannis and the Bucks after last year's flame out in the playoffs as well. A couple things to keep your eyes on in this series besides Giannis' health. Man, I love Tyrese Halliburton, if I can talk here. He's going to be fantastic, I think, in this series. Now, these Indiana Pacers need to step up in the playoffs and be like they've been there before. I think they will do it, at least in this first round here, and how it works. Milwaukee Bucks are going to have to be playing phenomenal transition defense, stop the Pacers from running, and make them stretch out, like I said, with that percentage points. In order to, stop them from running, and getting easy scores against the Bucks. That's one key there as well. Indiana, man, they're just deep, and their bench guys have to step up. You can't just rely on the starters in the playoffs. Now, obviously, you shorten the bench. But here's an interesting stat that I dug up here today, getting ready and doing some research on these playoffs. The Pacers starting lineup outscored opponents by 6.4 points per 100 possessions. It's not great. It's good, but it's not great. It ranks 16th among 37 lineups that played at least 200 minutes there. So, but however, it was more than doubled by the marks of the Bucks' 4 most used lineups. So 15.1 per 100 or better. So the Bucks starters are better than the Pacers starters, especially with Giannis in there. But the Pacers bench is better than the Bucks bench, and that's going to be the key for the Pacers moving forward. So the Pacers had the league's second-ranked bench after the All-Star break. And as I said, if they're going to have a chance in this series, which I think they do, they're going to have to win and make up points or pull ahead from the Bucks from the bench side. So the Pacers, though, are not good in the paint. 56% of the shots by the opponent are in the paint. by the Pacers, so you can get inside. I don't think that matters though, as long as Giannis isn't playing. That's the other key there. A lot of people are on the Pacers bandwagon, especially with Giannis being out. And Mike is on there. He says the Pacers are going to win this series, and I'm going with the Pacers also. Pacers in 6 in this series. Unless Giannis is out for game 2 and maybe game 3, I think this might be over even sooner. Might be a game 5 finish for the Bucks, as it's going to be interesting. The other side of it is the Pacers finished with the second best record at 15-11 in games played between the top 8 in the East. So they play the good teams in the East well, and they have the second best record from that point. So defense and bench play for the Pacers, and they're going to win this series and upset the Bucks there as the 3 seed. And only thing that's going to save the Bucks in my eyes is a healthy Giannis, and I just don't know. This isn't going to be the year they beat the Suns. He hyperextended his knee and then came back amazingly, and we're all like, "What the heck?" Mike also says, "If I wasn't leaving for Oklahoma on Monday, I'd have you buy me lunch when the Knicks win." He says, "I'll be back in October though." Deal. We can reserve that lunch for October there, Mike. No doubt about that. He's got the Knicks winning that series, and I do not. I have the 76ers upsetting them. So I've got 2 upsets here. If you count the Pacers as an upset, I do, because it's a seeding. A lot of people do like the Pacers in this series, but I'm going to say it's an upset based off of the seeding. So next up, of course, last game in the East here, Cavaliers Magic. Did I cover this one already? I did not. How fast time flies, right? Series schedule, game 1 is Saturday, tomorrow. This is the first game tomorrow, 10 a.m. Here, right before the Suns game tomorrow, Magic and Cavaliers. Tells you where you are when you're the 10 a.m. game on the Saturday, the first day. These teams are very similar, the size and their defense. A lot in common between these two teams. I'm expecting an even series in this first round between these guys. Doesn't mean it's going to be a good series. It doesn't. But I think it's going to be an evenly matched series between the Cavs and the Magic here. Keep your eyes on the Banchero-Mobley matchup, because, they're going to get switched off, things like that, but they are going to match up against each other a lot. And it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that. And I think it's going to be a fantastic, matchup here for both of these young guys here. So the Cavaliers, they just have to stay healthy. They aren't deep. They have their weapons, but can they stay healthy in a long series here in the first round? And that's the key. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Mobley fell short of the 60 appearances in playing this year. And if they each missed one of the games against the Magic when they played in the regular season, so here's the question: Can the Cavaliers, are they healthy? Can they stay healthy? We know that Donovan Mitchell does not like being in Cleveland. He's waiting for his time where he can get out of there. Does that affect here to where he can get out of there if he loses this series, right? For the Magic, their back court is the key for the Magic here. They don't get a lot of scoring from the backcourt, but they will facilitate and double-digit assists for both of their guards, Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony, I believe it is, as the other guy, the guards there. Cole Anthony, they both averaged double digits. They against the Cavs, and they put up about a third of what Mitchell and Garland posted when they did play the Cavaliers all year. So defense, backcourt feistiness for the Magic. Cleveland has to be healthy and hit their shots. 9.2% is a key number according to what I found out there. I look for Google search, and I look for keys in the series, and look for some odds that a lot of people aren't talking about. The Magic shot 58.7%, which is 11th best in the paint, but had an effective field goal percentage of 49.5%, which was 28th in the league, on shots outside the paint. That 9.2% was the league's biggest such differential. The Mavericks ranked in the bottom 10 offensively for the 11th straight season, with their lack of perimeter shooting being their biggest issue. So, as I said, the health of the Magic I'm sorry, the feistiness of the Magic, the defense of the Magic are most importantly, they do not hit outside shots to save their lives. So they're going to have to go inside and dominate because they just, they're, yeah, bricks galore when they shoot them up from outside. So it's going to be interesting to see. The Cavs aren't as good defensively as they were before. Of course, injuries does affect that out there. They were one of three teams. The Celtics and the Thunder, the number one seeds, otherwise, were the other two that ranked in the top 10 in both opponent field goal percentage in the paint, 55.1% for them, and the lowest percentage of their opponent's shots that came in the paint, 48%. So the Cavs have to keep the Mavs out of the paint and make them rely on that outside shot. I don't know if the Cavs can do that. Their depth is going to be an issue, and injuries are going to be an issue, and just having your feet underneath you when you're playing all your starters because they do not have that depth in Cleveland. Mike has the Magic winning this series. I had them winning the series as well, but this is such an even series. I can see this going 7 games. So I'm going to say Magic in 7. Definitely might be in 6. Cleveland, it does have the home court advantage, so they would have the final game at home. And the Cavs do have more experience in the playoffs than the Magic do. But I don't think that matters. I think if it gets to a game 7, it doesn't matter. The Magic, I think, pull this out and win there for the Magic. So I think, Mike, we have one game different, right? Just the you have the Knicks, and I have, of course, the 76ers here on this. Let's see what happens on the West side. And don't forget, for those of you joining us now, go ahead and hop in the chat if you like, or get some insight here on what we're chatting about. As we're just doing the predictions. As I said on the show, I just don't have an hour with all the stuff going on right now. Coyotes moving and NHL playoffs and Jaden Rashada news today. I didn't have time to really go in depth on this, so I thought I'd break it out on a Friday night before everything started. Of course, right now, let me get you the update here. Let me find where I have this and get you the update on this Pelicans Kings score. 81-71 here at the end of the third, or 2 minutes left in the third. So Pelicans pulling out to another 10-point lead. Interesting here. So we'll leave this one to last just because they're playing still here in the third. I don't think the Kings are out of this game yet. They can come back. Obviously, it's the NBA. So we'll leave that game till later. While we just go ahead and look at, the mismatch in the West for me. So, I mean, basically, one good series, I think, Cavaliers and Magic. I don't think it's going to be good, but it's going to be an even series between these two. I think the Bucks and the Pacers are just going to be a mismatch for the Bucks in this series, and the Pacers are going to win it. Knicks and 76ers. If you go off of what me and Mike say, he's got the Knicks, I have the 76ers, but I don't think it's going to go 6 games. It could go 7. But that's probably the best series in the East because Celtics Heat's just going to be a massive thumping there by the Celtics over the Heat, especially without Jimmy Butler. And even with him, I would be extremely worried about the Heat be doing anything in that series. The West, on the other hand, super competitive. And you know what? And I apologize. I screwed up here as I'm doing my own production here from the home fortress. I didn't put this up saying the Magic winning that Cavaliers Magic series. So make it official here with the logo on the screen. On the West side, this is some very competitive series here coming up. Well, I'll say 2 out of the 4 are really, really competitive. The maybe a third is going to fit in there, but let's get the one that I think is just mismatch city right here. That's the Nuggets and the Lakers in this series. There's no easy way to put it. Game 1 is Saturday, tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Of course, it's the Lakers, right? Got to be on prime time for them. And of course, it's another postseason series featuring Anthony Davis. Of course, you got Jokic out there. Can Anthony Davis stay healthy? Does his headaches take him out of a game again? Who knows? LeBron James, of course, Jamal Murray in this series. These guys were in the Western Conference Finals last season. people viewed it as highly competitive, but it was a basically a sweep. So I don't get why people are saying that, oh, it was a competitive series. No, it wasn't. You're just trying to sell this year's games. This is a mismatch for the Lakers. They're old. They're beat up. Jokic is better than Anthony Davis. Jokic plays harder than Anthony Davis. Jokic can play a whole game, whereas Anthony Davis can struggle at it there. Look, I mean, the Lakers held into the games last year. I think, if I remember correctly, when I looked this up earlier and I didn't write it down, last year, I think the most the Lakers lost by was 8 points. I do know that they lost the final game 4 when they got swept. They lost by 2 points in that game. So in terms of the games themselves, they might be competitive. They're not going to be blowouts. I just think that the Denver Nuggets are either going to sweep the Lakers again or it's going to be in 5. And there's no questions about it. It's a terrible mismatch for the Lakers as the series goes on. And even if it goes deep into the playoffs, I think the Lakers are going to tire as the series goes on. And this is just going to be a brutal, brutal series here for the Lakers with this matchup. Let's see here. Let's just give you some stats that I looked up earlier to see. Even though I think it's going to be a blowout, I still try to find those stats, that can maybe help people out while they're deciding. Don't forget Jamal Murray. Jokic obviously is the guy to watch for the Nuggets. Anthony Davis is the guy to watch for the Lakers. How healthy is he? Can he play? Of course, LeBron James, you guys know what he can do. He's going to flop a lot. He's going to cry a lot. He's also going to do something spectacular to keep the Lakers in it at some point, right? Austin Matthews, is he going to step up in the playoffs again this year? But the guy you're going to watch for the Nuggets is Jamal Murray. He is a heck of a defensive player. He's a heck of a shooter when he's healthy. Of course, last year had a phenomenal postseason helping Jokic out. He's just the guy to watch. Jokic obviously is the key for the Nuggets, but I'm going to put in there key 1A is Jamal Murray. They both have to be competitive in this series. 2, in order to get out in 4, maybe 5 games, 100%. For the Lakers, of course, my favorite quote here, I was looking at quotes and storylines. D'Angelo Russell actually said this, and I missed it earlier. He said, quote, "Public humiliation has done nothing but mold me into the killer that you see today," unquote. D'Angelo Russell's a killer on the court? Okay. He got destroyed last year in this series in the Western Conference Final. He didn't shoot well. He didn't play defense well. He was just a mess. So I think that's a way of him psyching him up. Look, Anthony Davis is going to play. If he's healthy, he's going to play well. If LeBron James is healthy and able to play through this series, he's going to play well. The question is, can they stay healthy? So who's going to step up for the Lakers? And actually, I was thinking it was going to be D'Angelo Russell till I saw that quote. Now I'm a little worried for him. I don't know if the Lakers can afford a slow start or a slow couple games with him. But I don't know. To me, he's like the key. He needs to step up and be another guy to get him points unexpectedly for them to even be in this series. For the Nuggets, they're without Jeff Green, Bruce Brown. Obviously they were big key contributors to last 3 years' championship run. So you got some youngsters in here that are going to be counted on to fill those roles. In this series, at least, I won't talk about next series. We'll talk about that later. In this series, it does not matter. Jamal Murray, Jokic need to stay healthy. They need to dominate these games like they should. Nuggets are going to get out of this fairly easy. Interesting enough, when I looked around, there's not going to be a lot of three-pointers shot in this series. No, there's not. Here is an interesting stat for you. The Nuggets were the only team that had a winning record. They were 18-15 in games in which they were outscored from the three-point range this season. They dominated when the other team hit threes, and they didn't. They still were able to win the games. The Lakers, meanwhile, had the most wins. 23-29 was their record when being outscored from deep. Denver, 35.2%, and the Lakers, 35.8%. They ranked 30th and 28th, respectively, in the percentage of their shots that came from three-point range. Yeah, they don't shoot threes very often. When they do, they don't make them very often. This is going to be an underneath series where the bigs are going to get involved, driving to the paint. Not There's going to be nothing like the Warriors, the Splash Brothers Warriors in this series, right? That being said, they're probably going to rain down threes and dominate, right? uh, so I mean, if you can hit a three and you shoot them, they're going to be huge in this series because that just doesn't happen with both of these about both of these guys here. So, look, Mike has the Nuggets winning this series. I have the Nuggets. To be honest with you, if it's not four, I'll be surprised. Um, but I'll give the Lakers. They might win one to make it to five, but I'm not. I'm going to be shocked if it is not a sweep. Biggest mismatch in the West here is Lakers and Nuggets in this series. And then we'll have to reevaluate the Nuggets. I want to see the Nuggets play and see how they do for the next round. Of course, if the Suns win, or the Nuggets win, they'll be facing each other in the next round. So it's going to be a closely watched series if the Suns look like they are going to pull it out. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. Clippers Mavericks is a series in the West that I think is going to be phenomenal. Even with Kawhi Leonard's uncertainty out there, I do think this is an even series. I think the talent is going to be amazing. Even with Kawhi, if he's not able to go with his knee injury, I do think it's a pretty evenly matched team, even with Kawhi being out. This first game is Sunday, 12:30 p.m. Here for Mavericks and Clippers. Look, there's big names everywhere in this game. This is what makes it exciting, right? What is it? Luca for Mavericks there, right? Kyrie Irving, of course, for the Mavericks. You got Kawhi Leonard if he's able to play. James Harden, Paul George, Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. He'll come in start if Kawhi Leonard doesn't play. That's 6 players here out of 10 that are going to start this game or at least be in this game. A big name talent, right? Of course, some are old now, things like that. We're talking, I looked this up, 47 All-Star nods, 2 MVPs, 2 final MVPs, 6 scoring titles are going to be in this game between all of these teams here. So it's, will the stars shine? And which stars will shine? Look, for the Mavericks, they need Luka to score. They need Luka to dominate. They need Kyrie Irving to take pressure off of Luka when he's able to. They need those two to play to a top level and just hope that somebody else can step up. But the Mavericks can win this series with just Luka and just Kyrie doing what they do. It is possible for that to happen, as we see going forward. That's the key for the Dallas. Is those two have to have fantastic games, and you expect them to have those fantastic games. So I think it's going to be an excellent series coming up. Watching those two play. As much as I hate Luka, we give him a hard time, right? Luka, ho nuts, donut things. His whining, his complaining, his crybaby. Hashtag Luka Ho. We had that at one time last year. And as much as I don't like the guy, you still have to respect what he can do on the basketball court and dominate. That's, if he can knock off the extra stuff of whining and crying, it'd actually be a fan favorite, right? So, interesting enough. So, the thing for the Lakers is you have to stop Luka or Kyrie. Preferably Luka. Kyrie can have a bad game, and if Luka still goes off for 50 and dominates and passes the ball around, you're in a lot of trouble. So, to me, it's more Luka is who you have to limit. But, of course, you try to stop Kyrie as well, right? And nobody else can get hot. So you have to basically tell it down to those guys. So Tyronn Lue, of course, is one of the league's top tacticians. Of course, the Clippers head coach there. But can the players get out there and stop Luka in this series? I don't know. It's like the old Michael Jordan mantra, right? You can't stop him. You just hope to contain him. It's going to be fascinating to see how they do that. The Mavericks, of course, they no 3-pointers. They used to rely on the 3-pointers. So how does that work in the playoffs for the Mavericks? Of course, last year they missed the playoffs famously. They packed up their bags and didn't try to make the playoffs when they had a chance to. So how does the Mavericks and this team? We know what the Mavericks were before. They usually, they made the Western Conference Final a couple years ago, but they usually faltered in the playoffs by shooting the 3. You live and die by the 3. That is not this Mavericks team. And a lot of new guys on this team. Can it turn it into postseason success? That is the question mark for the Mavericks, and we'll see in this series. The Clippers, look, it all just comes down to health. Harden, right? You have James. You know what? I didn't even mention Harden in my other lineup, right? Out there, but injuries are the problem here, right? Harden's dealing with that foot ailment. Kawhi Leonard has that inflamed right knee. I was looking up today, and nothing guaranteed if he's going to play in game one or not. Generally, in Kawhi's history, he does not play at all. So, right, fully healthy, this Clippers team is almost unbeatable. It's going to be very difficult to beat them. Kawhi Leonard being out, but everybody else healthy, it's still a very difficult team to beat. So to me, it's just health with the Clippers, especially if this moves on and is a huge long series. I think health is going to kind of weigh on the Clippers more so than the Mavericks going forward. It's going to be interesting to see if the Mavericks can keep up that pressure. The key number that I looked up here in this series, the one that I settled on, the Mavs are 8.4 per 100 possessions better after the trade deadline than they were before. And I got to give Izzy credit for this on the show. He loved the moves the Mavericks made at the trade deadline. I kind of made fun of him a little bit, but he loved them, and he was 100% correct. The Mavericks team got way better with the additions they made at the trade deadline. And stats prove it, and their stats prove it, their standings prove it, and their play on the court proves it as well. So Mike has the Clippers in this series. Mike, we're about to disagree here because I have the Mavericks winning this series in 6, possibly 7 here. I just think that Luka and Kyrie are going to be tough. They're coming into the playoffs hot. 16-2 record at one point here at the end of the season to keep going. They coasted to the regular season at the end of the regular season, but they have real momentum coming in against the Clippers team that injuries kind of rested their guys and got them in a lot of trouble. I do think the Mavericks, though, dare I say this, maybe the Suns are on this list, depending on if they can wake up with the talent that they got. I think the Mavericks are the team that nobody wants to face in this playoffs. Yeah, I know, I said it. I hate it too. Mike says Luka may score 50 in a game or two, but it won't be enough. All right. I think the health of the Clippers is going to be the bigger issue in this series. And I do think it's going to be a fantastic series. I just think the Mavericks are going to do it. So right now, let's get you the update here. I know if you're watching this later on, of course, we'll know the result. Pelicans 90, Kings 77. 8 minutes and 20 seconds left here in the fourth. So, it doesn't really matter in this series. The Oklahoma City versus either the Pelicans or the Kings. Right now, it looks like it's going to be the Pelicans. 90-77. Kings can go. Look, the Pelicans have dominated this game for the most part. The Kings just have struggled here. I find it interesting that the Zion went out, and the Pelicans are playing well without him. In the earlier game, right, Jimmy Butler goes out and can't play today. And the Bulls get run over by the Miami Heat today. So it seems like at least in this one game series, the teams are rebounding with guys being out, key guys being out for them. But here's the thing. At first, I toyed with the idea that if the Kings win this, they're going to give the Thunder a battle. Then I looked up some stats. Oklahoma City, I don't have faith of them in this playoffs, but I think their style and what they do, they're going to run either the Pelicans or the Kings out of the gym here coming up. I don't trust the Thunder in this playoffs. They're too young. They don't have the playoff experience. Yes, they proved their worth all season, but playoffs are different. Young teams tend to kind of struggle a little bit in the playoffs here. So obviously, SGA, Gilgeous Alexander is good and clutch. I don't have to worry about him if he's healthy. Can he stay healthy going forward is a thing. Yeah, my only concern about the Thunder in this series is just their depth. Not because of this series, but moving forward in other series. Playoffs, you get beat up, you get banged up. How do they respond? And they aren't the deepest team. So foul troubles or injuries are going to get them in a lot of trouble. The problem is, especially if it's the Kings, which it doesn't look like it's going to be at this moment here with 7:29 to go. But if it was the Kings, they don't have to worry about foul trouble. If it's the Pelicans with Zion out, you don't have to worry about foul trouble. So I think the Oklahoma City Thunder continue the battle here, and they do, of course, win this series. Here, I don't see Mike hasn't done his pick yet. He might be sleeping. I don't know. It's kind of late for him. He does say Thunder as well. I then we'll see the matchup afterwards and see how the Thunder play in this series. I also think with Zion being out, because he would pose a matchup problem with Oklahoma City with him being out. I think it makes it a little easier. This is going to be Thunder in 5, maybe 6 if the winner of this game, which right now is 93-77 with 7 minutes left. And look, the Pelicans have been ahead in this game. They've dominated this game. So unless the Kings wake up and figure something out here shortly, they're going to be out of the playoffs. But that's kind of how I see it going. Oklahoma City will win that series and move on. So which leaves us with the local team here. You got the Timberwolves versus the Suns in this playoff. 12:30 tip-off tomorrow, of course, in Minnesota. The number 3 Minnesota Timberwolves. They played just a week ago on Sunday, not quite a week yet, and the Suns came out. Suns won the season series. Suns came out and dominated the regular series. Minnesota Timberwolves fans, you got to start feeling sorry for Minnesota fans. Heck of a regular season, dominated throughout the regular season in the battle for that number 1 seed, and they draw the worst matchup and the one team that they couldn't face in the playoffs. Because of matchup issues, and they draw them, of course, because they lost last Sunday. If they were just won it, they wouldn't have this series right now. And nobody's going to be on the Wolves season except for Wolves fans. This is a complete mismatch. Suns dominate this team. The nice thing is that the Wolves made a defensive team a couple years ago, right? They traded for Rudy Gobert. Cat plays inside. They were like focusing on their inside game on their defense to stop people from going to the basket. They've been successful at it in the regular season, except when they play the Suns. Suns do not have to go to the basket. The Suns do not play that style of basketball. The Suns do not drive to the basket very often. The Suns like to shoot the ball outside. Grayson Allen, Beal, Booker, KD, no problem shooting outside jumpers and not even getting in the paint or even thinking about getting in the paint here. Horrible mismatch for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I said it last week. When they found out that the Suns were facing the Timberwolves, instantly put it out there on Twitter that this is a terrible matchup for the Timberwolves. And I even put out there that, man, Minnesota, another heck of a regular season to just flame out in the playoffs here as well. So, now here's the problem, though. Suns are inconsistent. They've been inconsistent all season. Can the Suns put together 4 games where they can dominate? Or are we going to see 2, 3, 4 games of the Suns not showing up in the first quarter, not showing up in the fourth quarter and losing the game, deciding not to play at points in the game, right? Only scoring 10 points in the first quarter, like we've seen recently. That's the problem. To me, in this series, the Suns, if they don't show up, the Suns are going to lose. If the Suns quit playing in the fourth quarter, the Wolves will come back and beat you. If the Suns don't show up in the first quarter, not the end of the world, but if you let Minnesota go on a big run or to start the game and get the momentum up, you're in a lot of trouble. To me, the person to watch in this series, Grayson Allen. This offense runs better when Grayson Allen starts hitting threes early in the game. This offense opens up when Grayson Allen starts getting out there, and Grayson Allen can hit those threes. It'll open up that offense. To me, it's Grayson Allen. Nurk, don't even care if he gets any points in this series. Don't even score. Drew Eubanks, when you go in for Nurkic, I don't even care. Don't score. Your job is to go get rebounds. Your job is to get offensive rebounds. Your job is to get defensive rebounds. The Suns' offense is just going to shoot from outside. And here's the problem. They got to hit those shots. Can they be consistent in hitting those shots? Can they do that consistently enough to get 4 out of 7 wins, right, in this series? That is a question mark in this series. This is a 100% question mark. On paper, Suns should run away with this series. It should be a sweeper of 5-game series. Can you trust the Suns to get to that point? Can you trust what the Suns have showed you, not just all season long, but just in the last couple of weeks? Sure, they went 7-3 against the last 10 games that were the hardest games on the schedule. Sure, they had the hardest schedule since January on, and they had a winning record. 100% correct. But they also had games where they were duds. And in a 7-game series, you have 2 duds. You're in a dogfight to win the series. Do you trust the Suns enough to say that? That's the question mark right there. Autumn checks in and says, "Come on, Suns, let's go." I don't know why I said it like that. And then Mike says, "Suns, just so Autumn doesn't get mad at me." She's probably going to get mad at me for doing that right there. Where I'm also, "Go, Suns." Minnesota does have the best defense in the league, but it doesn't matter when you play the Suns. The Suns are going to lose this series if they don't show up and play well. Period. End of story. No other way around it. Suns should win this series. Suns should win this series in 5, maybe 6. They should. But do the Suns show up and play? I don't know. Would you put money on this series? Because you don't know what Suns team's going to show up. Autumn says, "Good call, Mike." So, I mean, here's the interesting thing. The Suns, of course, had a really good April, as I said. They went 10-4 to conquer the tough finishing schedule, and they beat the Wolves, of course. They beat the Nuggets, they beat the Cavs, the Clippers, the Pelicans, and the Kings. Excuse me. They didn't get into the play-in tournament, which gives them that extra momentum. They got rest now. I'm just worried. Game 1, I'm not sure the Suns are going to show up in that first quarter. Do they do too big of a hole here tomorrow morning at 12:30 on Saturday morning to do that? Karl-Anthony Towns, he's going to have to guard a perimeter player for Minnesota Timberwolves. He's not going to be underneath, which is where he wants to be on the defensive side. Is he going to guard Grayson Allen? Is he going to guard Bradley Beal? That's a win for the Suns if they can pull him out like they have in every series, and they can get him out there. Of course, Karl-Anthony Towns was injured recently. Came back here at the end of the season. Missed 18 games with that meniscus tear. How's his legs going to be going into this series as well? It's a fascinating series from that point. For the Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert is going to be ruled inefficient in this series because the Suns aren't going to play him underneath. Let Rudy Gobert score 2 points underneath. Who cares? He's not a scoring machine. He's a defensive machine. Suns don't need to go to the paint. Rudy Gobert is going to be non-existent in this series. Karl-Anthony Towns, he's going to shoot well on the offensive side, but the Suns need to move the ball around, make Karl-Anthony Towns get tired while he's defending out on that perimeter and running around as well, right? It's going to be the key to this game for the Minnesota Timberwolves is right? Anthony Edwards. If Anthony Edwards goes out and dominates a game and opens up that offense, Suns are in a lot of trouble to win a game. Doesn't mean they won't win it, but they're in a lot of trouble. You shut down Anthony Edwards and your shooting works for the Suns. You shut down Anthony Edwards and you're able to convert points easily. You shut down Anthony Edwards and you're able to hit your threes and the outside shots, the short range jumpers. You're winning this game. You're winning this series. Do you have the faith that the Suns can do it? Again, is the question here. So to me, the key to the game for Minnesota is Anthony Edwards. And he plays terrible. Beal shuts him down when they play each other. For the Suns, of course, Durant, Booker, Beal, they need to hit their mid-range shots. They need to hit their threes. 100%, yes. Grayson Allen needs to open up the offense with a 3. Pick one of them. You don't need a great game from Beal, Booker, or KD. 2 of them having a great game would be great. Then Grayson Allen steps up. Who else steps up besides him, right? Does Eric Gordon get some playing time and step up? Drew Eubanks and Nurk, I don't care what they do on that side. I want to see rebounds. Go get the rock, baby. That's their only job this series. Get the ball away from the big boys underneath for Minnesota, especially on the offensive rebounding side, or the defensive rebound side, Minnesota's offensive rebounding side. Don't let them get extra baskets because they're underneath there and they get it there as well. Grayson Allen's got to be hot in this series, 100%. So Here's an interesting stat for you. And I had to dig a little bit for this stat. Now, I'm not saying that to give me props. I'm just saying, normally it was, you have all the stats in this series. Suns dominated regular season, stuff like that. Suns shut down Anthony Edwards in this game. Karl Anthony Towns struggles against the Suns. You had those types of stats. The Wolves, in their 41 road games this season, allowed their opponents to take only 64.8% of their shots from the restricted area or the three-point range. That's the league's lowest opponent rate, as Minnesota ran its opponents off the three-point line. And, obviously Rudy Gobert, he's going to be he's going to be the defensive player of the year. But you can't go in the paint because he's down underneath there, right? That's the key to the game for Minnesota right there. Make the Suns make bad shots. Make the Suns not make those outside shots. Force them off the three-point line. Force them away from the mid-range jumpers. Make them go into the paint. But we've seen this season, right? All season long they played 3 times, and the Wolves haven't been able to do it yet. Doesn't mean they won't be able to do it once or twice in the series. I don't think it's going to be a sweep, but I do think 5 is what I'm leaning towards right now. Could be 6. But I'm leaning toward 5 in this series. And especially Minnesota, they'll quit on you as they keep, if you keep dugging it in and they start losing and losing and losing. Especially if you take game 1 or game 2 in Minnesota. It's going to be interesting to see where that is. So, of course, the Suns took 37.4% of their road shots from that outside and restriction area to the three-point line. So, it's going to be a battle there. That's where this series is going to be won, is on the outside. So, do you believe the Suns can do it? Do you think the Suns of the season are going to show up? Do you think the Suns that failed a lot this season are going to show up? Or do you think the Suns you've seen recently going to show up? Mike says Suns. Adam says Suns. You guys are homers, by the way. I say Suns as well, obviously. Oh, hold on. I got to do this right there. Suns win the series, 5 or 6 in my eyes. And it's kind of bad for Minnesota because their reward for having the best regular season they've had, I guess it's the second best season in franchise history. And their reward is just a terrible team that they do not match up well with. And so you got to kind of, I don't feel sorry for him, but you got to kind of be like, oh, that sucks. Anthony Edwards, though, is the key into this. Anthony Edwards goes off and has 55 points a game, dominates those big high-flying dunks that he does, illuminates his crowd when they're at home. Timberwolves can win this. Suns don't hit their shots. Timberwolves can win this. I just got to go with the fact of what we've seen from the Suns. Yes, 2 out of those 3 losses there in the last half of the last 10 games were awful. They scored 10 points in that Clippers game, right, in the first quarter. That Suns team is losing this series. The Suns team that plays like they're supposed to, and we've seen them play 7 of those wins, they're winning this series, and they're winning this series easily. I have to go on the faith that the Suns will be that team. I can't go into this playoffs assuming the Suns are going to play bad. I just can't. They have momentum going into the series. Will it surprise me if they play bad? No. That's the bad part about this. I'm almost expecting them to come out and let us down. So come out and show us the truth here, Suns. Come out and show us what's up. Show us you're the team that's been waiting for the playoffs to happen and win this series. You got a tough matchup next if you get past this one with Denver next, assuming Denver wins, which I think they will, of course. But it's going to be interesting. So right now it's 99-85 Pelicans, 3 minutes to go in the fourth. So yeah, it does look like the Pelicans are going to move on to face the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think Oklahoma City is going to win that series. They're going to win it fairly easily without Zion. Pelicans just aren't going to match up. They need Zion in that game to be in that series to be physical. And it sounds like they're going to be without him, at least for the beginning part of it. So I appreciate everybody joining us here for the NBA Rebound. Appreciate everybody watching it as a return. Here's my final picks again. For those of you out there that didn't see the whole thing, want to go back and watch it, I'll post it. It's on YouTube, of course, and then I'll post it to the socials as well here when we get done. So it'll be out there for everybody. I know it's a little bit longer, but NBA, right? We got to break out this down a little bit more. Of course, the hockey one I did earlier for the first round series is available on YouTube as well. I'll get that on the social medias. Appreciate everybody joining us. We'll do more of this, of course, as we keep going as the playoffs continue. I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun, and we'll see you all next time. Everybody have a great weekend. Go Suns. Watch NHL playoffs as well. And we'll see y'all, of course, Monday morning, a main event. Catch us on the podcast system. If you're not a subscriber to WTSM TV, catch the podcast as well. All up there for you. And we'll see you all later on. Have a great night and have a